As Neville Goddard states in his book, an assumption, although false, if persisted in, will harden into fact. This is why we cannot look outside of ourselves to change our circumstances. Every single change that you seek and that you desire to manifest into your reality exists within ourselves. Change does not come from the outside, it comes from within. Hey fam, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Rosa, and if this is the first time that you're seeing my face, then welcome. It's so nice to have you here on the channel. I created this channel to remind you of the creative essence that lives within you. I believe that we were each created to create the best world possible. And that requires us to first create the best world possible for ourselves. That way we have that full cup energy that we're able to then give to others in a much more powerful and productive way. If you're interested in topics on spirituality, self-growth, manifestation, and expressing your full self and your most creative self with the world, this channel is going to be your best friend, okay? And make sure to give this video a like and a comment to let the YouTube algorithm know that this is the place to be. Okay, so without further ado, I want to talk about the law of assumption. This video is about the power of persisting in your assumption to manifest the life of your desires. Now, I'm sure if you're here on this video that this is not the first time you've heard of the law of assumption, but in case you don't know too much about what the law of assumption is and how you can utilize it to create your dream life and the way that you can finally turn your desires into physical manifested reality for yourself, I'm gonna dive into it a little bit. So the law of assumption was created by Neville Goddard, and he really popularized this term. And basically, what all of Neville Goddard's books boil down to, which I read all 10 of them, by the way. One of his main teachings and main philosophies that he shares is that the way that you can make your dream life a real reality, a present fact, is by assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Assuming that what you desire is going to come into your life and have that feeling and assumption be so strong that it feels natural and it feels real. Neville says once you get to that point where your desire just feels like it's your life right now, you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, then your desires are inevitable. By expecting your life to be successful and for things to look good, positive, successful things will constantly be flowing in your life because it's what you assume will happen. Whatever you assume to be true will be true for you. It will be the reality that you experience. If you're constantly looking for negativity, if you're constantly looking for other people to validate your current beliefs about yourself, that's what you're going to manifest. And a lot of the times our assumptions on how reality is, how people treat us, the way that our current self-concept and identity just is, it lives in the subconscious. A lot of the time the way that we view ourselves is subconscious. So what the law of assumption is teaching us, it's not teaching us how to use some new technique, but rather it's teaching us the way that the world already works. It's teaching us the laws that are naturally in the universe, that naturally play out in our reality, whether we're conscious of it or not. So by learning about the law of assumption, manifestation, different spiritual concepts about co-creating with the universe and manifesting our dream life, what this does is it gives us the awareness on what it is that we need to do to shift into our desired state. For us to be able to manifest what we desire and create that change in our life, it's not enough to just have a want for something, but we need to have a burning desire for our life to change. We need to truly have our focus be on changing our life. Because if you just want to be different, then you're not going to be willing to do the mental work that's necessary to put yourself already in the state of the wish fulfilled. If you just simply kind of want to change your reality, but it's not like a superly high charged desire, then you're not going to be willing to change your behaviors. You're not going to be willing to change your mental patterns, which can take a lot of discipline. It takes time to perfect and change the way that we dominantly think. We're not going to have that mental strength to continuously persist in creating that new reality for ourselves. In order to make any changes, you must be willing to do the work. And a part of doing the work is changing our thoughts. When Neville talks about assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, he's not saying to just think about your desire one time, assume the feeling, feel into that while you're in a meditative state one time and that's it. No, the key is in persisting in that. The key is in continuously reaffirming the new story again and again and again until our subconscious mind becomes saturated with the new reality rather than the old one. Because right now we've been perpetuating a past story, a past identity. That's why our life looks the way that it currently is, because we have a set of assumptions that we've continuously been subconsciously repeating in our minds over and over and over again. In order to change the assumptions that we're naturally assuming about our life on a daily basis, we need to exercise the muscle of persisting in the new assumption. The truth is that anybody could learn about the law of assumption, right? Anybody can apply the laws once or twice, get into that state of assuming the wish fulfilled, meaning assuming your desires already in your reality. Anybody can do that once or twice. But what will set you apart and where the power of your assumption really lies is by that consistency, is by persisting and not giving up and being able to have such a clear vision of where you're going and the willingness to get there that you continuously affirm for your desire and you don't give up. No matter what the 3D world says. Neville calls this living by the faith in your assumption. Your imagination is the wand that creates your reality. Everything starts there. Everything starts in imagination. For example, if you want and you desire to be the healthiest version of you, what you must do is use your imagination first to get there, to feel like this is already a reality. Assume that this is just your life. Assume that you naturally are the healthiest you've ever been. If that becomes your assumption, which can only become your assumption if you continuously feel into that feeling of being the healthiest version of you, then so many things shift and happen for you to attain that desire. The process of getting yourself to fully assume the assumption, that's a process. And that process might take time. It might be faster for some desires more than another, but this is the change process. The more you saturate your mind with the knowing that I am the healthiest version of me now, even if in physical reality I don't feel like the healthiest version of me, if I continue to saturate my mind with that feeling of being the healthiest version of me, what's naturally going to follow from that? What's going to be a natural byproduct of that? Well, for starters, the way that I'm going to walk around the world is naturally going to be different if I have my desire than when I don't have my desire. If I naturally feel like the healthiest person in the world, then even the way I carry myself is going to be different. My energy is going to shift from maybe being more reserved, being more insecure, more hidden from the world, not wanting to be seen, to openly expressive, to naturally gravitating towards foods that give me life and energy because I am already the healthiest version of myself. Versus if I feel like I'm extremely unhealthy right now and my goal, my dream is to be the healthiest version of myself. Hey guys, future Rahaza here, coming to you because I just got a new microphone. I know, ASMR worthy. And as I was editing this video, I noticed that the second half of the audio of this video was completely cut out. I guess the battery died. I didn't even know it had a battery until it died, so had to learn that lesson the hard way. I just finished filming this video and then another video for like an hour, and I'm gonna put this down, okay? I'll be honest, as soon as I found out that the audio was cut out, I was pissed. I had an internally reactive moment and I was like feeling really upset about it, and I was feeling discouraged. And literally as this was happening, as I'm like editing, I'm literally watching on my screen at the same time, like editing and watching something kind of in the background. I'm watching a Kabbalah 1 class of David Guillaume where literally the concept of that video was when something in the external world that seems bad happens to you, to say, pause, what a pleasure. And like in the 3D, if I were to just judge what had happened based on what just physically happened in my reality, it's like an inconvenience, I just spent like 2 hours filming and then spent like an hour editing, and then I found out that the audio was cut out and I wasn't even halfway done my editing. So yeah, it's frustrating, I have a certain amount of things I want to get done, now I have to redo it. So all these thoughts were kind of going through my head, and I'm sure you can relate to having these like minor inconveniences and like setbacks affecting your day and your internal state. So what happened was I noticed these feelings arising within me, and I decided, luckily in that moment, I was watching this video of David Guillaume saying, pause, what a pleasure. So I literally, as like heated as I was in that moment, and it's funny as I'm literally creating this video too, of all videos about assumptions, and if you persist in your assumption, they harden into fact. So I had to really take a moment and breathe and say, okay, I I'm not in control of what is happening right now, but I am in control of how I respond to this situation and how I see this circumstance. Because the circumstance is neutral, but it's us who ascribe meaning to the things that happen. The truth is that I had a choice in this moment to go down the mental pathway of, that means this video isn't good enough, that means I shouldn't do this video. I could have gone down the mental pathway of, does this mean that this video is over, that I shouldn't make this video, that because I created such a good video and I'm so proud of the video I created that now I can't recreate it, I can't make a video just as good as I did the first time around, and now I'm gonna be upset and in a bad mood, like I have to film this video again and all these stories. I could have gone down that negative spiral, that negative pathway, but I chose in this moment to make my assumption about the situation be that, oh, obviously this is happening because this video is now going to get so much better. The truth is, I actually had another video that was supposed to come out before this one, but I had some thoughts popping in my head being like, nah, don't post that one. That one's not even like worth watching. People don't want to see that one. And so I pushed that video to the side so that I could work on this video. But then when this happened and the audio cut out, I had no other videos recorded, so I had to post that video. So instead of being like, ugh, I have to post this other video now, I realized that, okay, some forces greater than myself are pushing me to now release this video instead of the one that I'm currently recording for. Because that video, that message needs to come out. And if this didn't happen with the audio, then I never would have released that video. And who knows if that video would have changed somebody's entire life or trajectory, you know? So I chose the assumption that I created through the circumstance. I chose to make it mean that this video is going to be 10 times better now because I now included this part, and also I scripted a new ending to this video that I'm gonna include as well that I think is so much better than it would have been if I didn't have this whole ordeal happen. So it just goes to show that even though things sometimes don't go our way, we're the ones who choose the assumption that we create and ascribe to the events that are taking place. Nothing is a mistake. And the 3D, the external world, is gonna trigger us, right? Nobody is ever denying that. Even if somebody is like the best manifester in the world, they're still going to get triggered by the external world. But it's our assumptions that follow the way that we react to situations. That is what makes or breaks us. This is the actual turning point in our life where we choose a new destiny for ourselves. We either go down the old familiar past thoughts of, well, of course this doesn't work, or of course this would happen to me, and whatever the story and assumption that comes when the 3D triggers you, or you can make the decision in that moment to switch to an alternate destiny where I create a new outcome that has never existed for me before. We get to decide in this moment which destiny we tap into. That is the power of our assumptions. It's in these moments when we get triggered by the external world that we can make that shift and change our trajectory, switch to a new timeline. It is in these moments when the 3D is testing us that the power of our assumptions is the most powerful. I mean, everybody knows that when things are going great in your world, everything's working out perfectly, it's so easy to assume that things are gonna be better and things are gonna be great in our world because things are already going great. So it's easy to assume from that state. But what about when things happen that look like they're not great? What about when life is testing you and putting you through a process that your soul needs to go through? What about in those moments? What are you doing with your consciousness in those moments in the everyday life, honestly? Not even just when big life events happen, although this is very relevant for that as well. Very relevant is how much certainty in your assumption do you have when things are not going your way in life. But even in the small, minuscule, everyday things, are you still choosing the positive assumption in those moments as well? Are you keeping that same energy when things are not going your way? When it's not as easy to keep a positive assumption, but you're so dedicated to changing your life and changing your trajectory and making your life the best possible reality it can in every single way in our area, and elevating your overall state of consciousness and life and of being in every area. Are you dedicated to that? You're going to have these challenges, and it's in those moments it's going to truly be a test of your faith. So this is what I mean when I say change comes from within, not from without. Because what happened was a situation happened externally, but I changed my state internally. The external circumstance actually didn't change. I still have to re-record this video, but my internal energy around the situation shifted because I let go and I allowed life to guide me, knowing that it's leading me in the right direction, because that is my assumption. I have the overall assumption in my life that things are always perfect, always good. Even if I don't see it in that moment, I don't see exactly why the audio cut out. Again, a small example, but it's to illustrate a really powerful point in this video, is that things just don't go our way all the time. And we have to know that, okay, maybe I don't see the whole picture. I am limited after all. I'm just a human being having this temporary limited human experience, right? But you have to hold and maintain that assumption, that level of certainty that the universe is always maneuvering things in your life from big to small to align you with your goals. For example, in this case, I have a desire. My manifestation is I want the best videos. I want to get better and better every time I sit down and create content. So because I set the intention that I want the best videos, the universe said, okay, I'm going to destroy these videos so that you can level up your content, so that you can think again about your approach with this video. You can gain some new revelations from this video, maybe come in with a different energy this time. But this situation is only being sent to me so that I can up level and receive the thing that I'm actually asking for, which is a more successful YouTube channel. If I was just going off the 3D alone and I made the assumption that this means that universe does not want me to have good videos, guess what reality I'm going to experience? But instead I chose the assumption, I chose the meaning that the universe is presenting me with this opportunity because I asked for better quality videos. That doesn't mean that these like negative or annoying things have to happen, but it means that when they do, if they do, that is the test of your faith and your assumption. Again, we're not calling in these negative circumstances to happen to teach us lessons because we have to go through lessons to overcome. No, allow life to give you, life will give you lessons, okay? You don't have to seek them out and desire the lessons. They're gonna come. What you want to desire is the strength to have faith that no matter what challenges appear in your external world, that you know it's leading you to only good. You know that it's leading you to the thing that you're asking for, which in this case is a successful YouTube channel, successful videos, the best of the best videos. So the problem is never actually in the external event, like the thing that happened. The problem is in the way that we respond to it. The problem is that we ruin it when we see the 3D not being favorable, and we jump to conclusions, aka assumptions, about what this means. And that is what sabotages the manifestation, not the external event that happened that you think is sabotaging your manifestation. No, that's not actually sabotaging what you asked for. Just because something contrary to what you asked for is showing up in your world, that does not mean that you're not going to get your desire. It means that now is the test of your faith. Are you still going to hold the assumption when the going gets tough? Because like I said, it's so easy when things are going good to follow the advice I gave in the beginning of this video. Just assume, just persist. Okay, but what about when shit is testing you in your external world? Are you still gonna persist? Are you still gonna keep going with your assumption that your desire is still coming to you even though this thing occurred? And having faith that your ultimate destination has not changed. Just maybe the path that you thought in your limited human brain, you thought you were going to get there a certain way, but we don't always know the way. We're not the universe. We don't see things from that grander, big picture perspective of how everything in our reality is going to be maneuvering and shifting itself for you to get your desire. The law of assumption really is all about trusting. It's about having certainty. And this is the truth about persisting. It's when things do not go as planned. That's when it's especially important to persist, not just when things are going good. You are so powerful that whatever meaning you give to things, whatever it is that you assume to be true about you and of your reality, you make it true. There's no inherent meaning other than the meaning that we ascribe to things. And that could be taken as cliche, but I want you to actually take the time to feel the truth in that. You are so powerful that you literally create your life through the meaning that you give things, aka your assumptions. With the persistence in this, the results will show up in your world, but they must first show up in your inner world. If we think that the world is just random and circumstances just happen to us and our consciousness doesn't impact anything, then you will simply be a victim to life and all of its circumstances. And that's a choice. I'm not saying it's always easy, but it's like a muscle that we have to strengthen. But it is a choice. So I'm gonna leave you guys off with that message. That is all for me in today's video. I hope you got so much value out of it. If you did, please leave it a like and a comment down below letting me know what was the most valuable thing that you got out of this video. Hit that subscribe buttons for new videos weekly. And without further ado, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, love you.